beef stew in the Dutch oven.
Hey guys, Jen here with Haley Family. Wanted to talk to you today about some camping cooking. We're going to use our Dutch oven today and make a beef stew. First step for cooking with a Dutch oven is you do need to get the Dutch oven all heated up and everything like that, but Brian's going to do that outside. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the prep work and the ingredients. So I went ahead and washed all of our vegetables, and we want to do a nice rough cut on all the vegetables. The reason why we want to do a rough cut on those is we don't need little fine tiny bite-sized pieces. In a stew, you're going to cook it low and slow for a long time. I used about half a bag of celery and I cut those into some pretty big bite-sized pieces. I used a whole bag of carrots, the long ones. You don't even need to peel these, just wash them up really good. I used some broccoli. The broccoli I used had heads that were not, I would say they were small heads of broccoli, so I used 2 of those. I used half of a head of cauliflower, and I used 2 medium to large sized white onions. You're gonna need some beef broth, and we're gonna cheat this weekend and we're gonna use a beef stew seasoning packet. You can make your own seasoning packet, but this just makes life a little bit easier, especially when you're camping. So I wanted to cheat and get canned potatoes, and I've gotten canned potatoes before, and this time I thought, oh, what awesome deal, we've got cut up potatoes. Well, they're really small. So instead of putting those in at the same time that we put in the rest of the vegetables, we're gonna put those in a little bit later so they don't disintegrate on us. So we also have some beef stew meat.
So you'll get a little pile of briquettes going, and you'll get those started. It takes about a half hour, 45 minutes. And when they turn all white like that, that means they're about ready. So our next step, we're going to get our Dutch oven out here, get some oil in it, and then put our meat in. And we want to cook our meat all the way through, and then we'll start adding our vegetables. Vegetable oil in here. We're going to swirl it around to cover the sides so the meat doesn't stick. Just put it in here like so. All up on the sides and everything, like that. Yep. And now you just put your meat in. These are pretty big pieces, but you're going to cook them completely. And then once these are completely cooked, you'll add all your vegetables. Now we're ready for our Dutch oven. It just sets right there on the coals. We don't need the lid right now, so we'll just set the lid off to the side. And we'll let that go until the meat cooks. Then we'll add our vegetables. All right, so our meat's all cooked up. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these onions in to let them cook for a little while. Get them caramelized a little bit before we add our broth and our seasoning. And normally I would put the potatoes in right now as well, but since we got the smaller chunks, I'm gonna add those later. Right, our onions are all cooked down, so now we're gonna add our beef broth, then our stew seasoning, put the lid on, bring it to a boil, and then we just add all the vegetables.
Smells like campfire cooking.
Now we got our lid on. Now we can set some of these hot briquettes right on top. And this is how the Dutch oven portion works. So you get heat from top and bottom. I think that'll do it. Take about 10 minutes to bring that to a boil, and then once it's at a boil, you add your vegetables. See, we got a nice boil on there even after it's off the fire. So now I'm just going to add the vegetables. Here we go, and you just dump the vegetables right in there, nice and slow. Oop, oop. Some fell out, but that's okay. Ooh, that's hot. And that'll be okay. See how it's kind of sticking up over the lid, but you put the top, you put the lid back on there, and you put it on the fire again, or on the coals again, and heat it back up, and all those vegetables will cook down. It takes a good hour of continuous boiling for all that to cook down. So you check it about every 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes, and that's about it. So a lot of the liquid is getting boiled out, and all of the vegetables are just, you know, boiling down, and that's what you want. So now we have about another 30 minutes of the boil left. You can see the carrots are kind of staying together. They're hanging strong, but they'll break down. So now we're going to put just a little bit of water in here, about 16 ounces, so 2 cups. And we'll do another 30-minute boil, and it should be about ready. Like we said before, we use the small potatoes. Normally the potatoes would be in here the whole time, but since we had the small pre-cooked potatoes, right before we take it off, we'll put those potatoes in and give them about 15 minutes cooking. Look at that. It's all cooking down. We're about an hour into the boil, so we're going to add these pre-cooked potatoes in here. And I think instead of 15 minutes, because some of these carrots aren't fully broken down, I'm just going to go ahead and let it boil for another 30 minutes. So that would be an hour and a half of continuous boil. And I think I'm going to add another 16 ounces of water as well, because you can see it's getting pretty thick. So we want to thin it out just a little bit. Okay, we're just adding another 2 cups of water, and we'll let this boil for another 30 minutes. And then it should be eating time.
There you go.
Oh lordy. Here comes the magic of the Dutch oven with some beef stew.
Looks good.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, is it done?
Yeah, it's done. Let's go get some bowls. We'll get a little piece of bread, put it on the bottom, dip it in there, and let's rock and roll.